48 hours ago, a new company listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. It's called AB InBev, and at the price it listed, it valued the company at 3 trillion rands. That is shortly after that same company bid for and accepted an offer for SAB Miller that valued SAB Miller at 1.7 trillion rands. Now these are colossal numbers, very hard to get your heads around. The SAB Miller figure, the lower one, is already bigger than the South African economy. And what is more astonishing still about these figures is that they hide some even more interesting stuff. And the fact is that most listed companies around the world, when you add up their tangible assets, property, equipment, IT systems, stock, inventory, machinery, you very rarely get to even half of the total value of the company, because the other half is contributed by intangible assets. Things you cannot measure, photograph, pick up, explain. And the most important of those is the brand. The brand contributes almost half of the value of an organization. And that is what I seek to help my clients uncover, where that brand value truly lies and how they can build it further. The what, the how, the why, and the who of brand building is my territory. And the what is quite easy when you quote those numbers, and the why is quite easy when you quote those numbers. It's the how and the who, especially the who, that is more difficult. So in search of that, come with me, please, to Chugwater, Wyoming. Yes, there is such a place in the Midwest of America. Chugwater, Wyoming, like every other town in America, has a Walmart. And in the Walmart in Chugwater, Wyoming, is employed a man called Chuck. All Americans are called Chuck. And Chuck has been the vegetable packer at the Walmart in Chugwater, Wyoming for 30 years. For 30 years, he's got to the store just before the truck arrives from the fresh produce market. And his job is to take those vegetables and to make them look irresistible. So for the lettuces, he tears off the outer leaves, the grubby ones, throws them away, and packs those beautiful, crisp, refreshing hearts of lettuce. He's done that for 30 years until one morning he has something of an epiphany. And he phones his boss and he says, I want to do something different, please, boss. And the boss says, Chuck, you've been doing this for 30 years, you know best. Do what you must. And from that day on, Chuck takes those outer leaves, and instead of throwing them away, he takes a plastic bag about the size of a pillow, and he puts all those leaves in that bag, ties a knot in the top, writes on it, bunny food, free, and leaves them at the checkout. And never again in Chugwater, Wyoming, does little 9-year-old Chip or 7-year-old Tiger, because all American kids are called Chip and Tiger, never again do they have to worry about food for their Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, because the Walmart has done it for them. And if you fast forward a decade or so to when Chip and Tiger go off to university, to college, and they have to fend for themselves, and they take an apartment, and they look in the food cupboard and there's nothing there, do you agree with me that it's not beyond the bounds of possibility that the store they will go straight to is the one that somewhere subconsciously leaves that warm glow because that store fed Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail all those years ago? If you believe that, and I think you do, then Chuck is a brand builder. Chuck is the who. We are all in the brand building business. If a brand is a promise made and a promise kept, we are all in the business of keeping that promise. That's the who. I can talk about the who and the why and the how and the what, many, many more anecdotes and stories and case studies acquired over decades of working in this field. I can talk about brand creativity. I can talk about brand courage. And I can talk about why your next marketing director should be Mike Tyson. But that's for another day. Thank you very much indeed.